Hello, I am Casimiro Juanes, and I've been adjunct professor here at IE for the last 10 years, where I have taught in different programs ranging from specialized masters to executive MBAs. And in the last years, I've been heavily involved in project-based learning in different MBA programs. In the IMBA Tech Lab with companies that give us a challenge for 5 weeks for the students in the executive MBA by implementing business sprints, in which we also have external companies that give us challenges for different topics for our students. And also in the Global Executive MBA CEO Challenge, where last year we practiced digital transformation with Walmart Mexico. I think that we have all realized that in the last years, education is evolving, and we want to be part of that evolution. And this can be part of that evolution. Project-based learning, it's applying here in our formal learning things that in companies we have been practicing for a while. So at Ericsson, when I was head of learning and development, we had a rule 10, 20, 17, the terms of learning. 10 for your formal learning, 20 learning with your peers, and 70 learning in a project. So it's time for us to apply those learnings as well in our MBAs. And I come with my experience that I can share with you. Of course, this is just my view. I know many others who are working on project-based learning as well. But I think that I want to share with you some reflections on how to approach this in a way that can help you, especially if you're approaching it first time ever. So first of all is that you have to consider here two key players. One is the students, of course, and for them this is a new way to learn, a new way to explore, a new way to participate, and they can learn from companies and they can be exposed to very interesting things. But it's also important to know what it means for you. And for you, it's a challenge. Let's be honest. This is not an easy teaching plan. You're going to work more because it's a challenge. You're going to learn a lot as well, and you're going to face real life world scenarios. The good thing is that that will put you a little bit on the edge or even outside of your comfort zone, but the same with the students. The students will have to deal with complex problems in which they not only have to talk about one particular thing, they will have to address the whole integrative learning. um, the good thing is that this requires high engagement from you and from the students, so it has an impact. And the students will remember not only what they learn, but also how you make them feel. And here you make them feel stretched, but very, very happy with the outcome. So they will remember these projects and they will probably reach you later. I've received that a couple of times. But that means on the other side that it's some more extra work. Real-time monitoring, constant feedback, validation of what the students are doing. All that requires you to be more on top of the project itself, of delivering the feedback right on time. And why is that important? Because by definition, project-based learning gets you and your students out of the comfort zone, and it increases ambiguity and uncertainty. And if there's something that we as humans don't like, and students especially, is uncertainty. So you have to deal with that uncertainty by planning better. It means more communication, more preparation, constant adaptation, and it needs to prepare and plan a lot. So it will require more work, but it gives you also more rewards. So in order for you to prepare for this work, what do you need to do and to start doing? First of all, my recommendation is to start with your objective. What's your educational goal? What do you need to reach? Are you after skill improvement or innovation or integration of concepts? So you have to be specific with the objective you want to reach, and also to match that expectation with the student's capability. Let me move forward one slide, and I will come back to the previous one in a moment. It depends on your students' knowledge, capability, availability of time, capability that they have at the beginning to dedicate more or less time, to have more or less tools, so that they can address the problem one way or another. So you have to understand very well your students and what they can do and how far they can reach and how far you can push them, because here you're going to push them gently, but push them to do more with their time, because they are going to own the project and the outcome, you own the process, but the students own the project and the outcome. It will require a lot of teamwork. Very rarely we have project-based learning with individuals. It's better if you do with teams because they can hold each other, they can help each other, they will have a combination of skills. So better teamwork, and there you have to realize, do I have to improve their teamwork? Do I have to enhance their cadence? And that has a lot to do with expectations and uncertainty. The more you clarify what needs to be done when, and it's up to them to do it, then the easier it will be for them to have less uncertainty on the process, even though they will still have the uncertainty of the outcome. And of course, you also need to check a little bit inside of you. This requires a change in the way that you work as a professor. So you no longer are as a professor only, you are also a mentor, a coach, and you have to help students to take steps and you have to push them and help them to move. So you need to shift as well. And you need to be prepared for that shift. It's a fundamental change in the way that you handle and drive the classroom. So depending on the type of student, you will decide different types of objectives, and you will also make another important decision. Do you have to do it all by yourself? Do you have to do it with others? So my projects, in the projects I've been engaged, most of them are external company or synthetic case. I have created some projects in which I create a whole scenario, and that's okay as well. In that one, you have more control over the environment and the flow and the information, but it requires a lot of work from you. The higher you go up in the ladder here, the less you have to prepare yourself, but the more you have to orchestrate and push the company to do. Because in a synthetic case, basically, you will create a scenario with a real company in which you are externally asking or pushing for things, but you have the access to the information that it's available online, and you have a clear understanding of the challenge and the cadence that you have to do. In the external company model, that is a very high level of uncertainty. So if you want to start, I wouldn't start with an external company. If you can start with an internal company that you create, you invent, or a synthetic case. An external company increases the level of coordination that you require before and during the journey, and also the push, because you're going to be the proxy between your students and the company. And your students might require more information, and the company perhaps don't want or cannot or doesn't have the time to deliver that, and you will have to handle all those things. So external companies gives a lot of benefits. For example, students have to face real directors, and they have to present to real people, and they have to create a very integrative approach, and they have to understand very well the context so that they are really offering something of value. But then on the other hand, it's a bit more work, coordination work from you. So be careful and clarify expectations on both sides and clarify what one can do on the other. And if you don't know, start with and try with a very simple one. So how would I start if I were you? This is what I've learned over the time. First of all, you need to have very clear objectives and outcomes. So what do you want to do? What do you want to achieve? And students and stakeholders, companies, or even other persons, they need to know about it. Then to build those objectives, try to create clear deliverables, a little path. And I will talk about the journey in my next video. Specific deliverables with clear format. Sometimes you have to create templates or a Miro template for the students to know the path. So lines like write a report, it's not enough. You have to be very specific, and if possible, you have to create that path in Blackboard so that students, it's very clear for them what they have to do when. And for that, very clear instructions, including evaluation criteria, including what are you going to measure, including what can they search for and how. Because here, in a way, you are creating new rules while you are working. So you need to be very clear of the rules and minimize ambiguity if you can. And always, this is always in class, but in this particular case, very important to have a fair process. So if you're going to ask your external partner to be part of the evaluation, the students need to know what they're going to check beforehand. So have instructions, guidelines as well, very, very clear. You need to have strategic touch points. It's very rarely the case in which if you have one project-based learning, you just give the project, you allow the students to work, and then you come back at the end with the outcome. Usually you have midpoints in which you have to validate. Those midpoints can be customer meetings or they can be deliverables with feedback, but they have to be very clear when you will have specific points where students can connect. And finally, your own work. Are you going to be a mentor? If not, is anyone else going to be a mentor? Who's going to help them from this coaching mentorship approach in which it helps you to guide through the project itself. Don't just let the students in the project and see what they get at the end. You have to continuously check that they are doing the right things. And here, mentoring capabilities are very, very important. So, will you guide them? Will others guide them? Make sure that you have a good plan. And after that, what you have to do is start planning. And for that, I will create a second video on the journey and what do you have to do for students, but also professors' journey perspective. So, just to wrap up a little bit, project-based learning, it's another method. It's another method, but it requires a different mindset. It requires a mindset more of a coach and supporter than that of a lecturer. But it can transform how both students and you learn and how you experience teaching yourself. So it starts with a good planning, with a clear preparation, and also having a good understanding of your objectives and what your students can deliver. So be very careful with that. My recommendation, try. Try and learn something new. As I said before, don't try at first with the most difficult one with external customers, but more with internal approach for synthetic case or something like that. And remember that there's no perfect use case. It's the use case that you can create as long as it fits with your model and with the students and the other stakeholders' presentations. So in the next video, I'll go through the journeys, what your students experience, what you have to prepare for that experience to happen by orchestrating behind the scenes everything that you have to do. So I hope that you enjoy the video, and let's continue the conversation in the second one.